Hello everybody and welcome back to Cool Bike Projects. Today we're going to be building up a 1999 Klein Attitude into a Restomod. This is in memory of a bike that I fell in love with clear back in 1997. The first year I worked in a bike shop, I saw a Klein Rascal. It was the first bike of its kind where I said, man, that paint job is amazing. To be honest, I didn't know much about it other than the oversized tubing and the internal cable routing, but I could tell from the older staff that this was a one-of-a-kind bike. Now, like the old Cannondales of that day, the oversized huge tubing made the bike riding relatively stiff. The advantage was it made it very lightweight, and with the short chain stays, a great climber. Alright, so let's talk about building up this bike. Like a lot of you that are interested in Restomods, the concept is pretty simple. You take a more classic bike and you put on modern parts to hopefully affect the shifting, the braking, and the overall ride quality better than it was. For parts, I've sourced a 1x11 SRAM GX drivetrain. This was originally on a mountain bike from 2018. Also, I'll be using the original headset. This is a Ritchie Comp sealed cartridge, as well as a race face crankset. I also purchased a backup chain just in case the other one's not up to snuff. Now, for what's new, we've got a PNW branded dropper seat post, as well as grips, cable set, etc. Here I'll be rocking a WTB saddle and an old Titech riser bar. Previous to filming, I actually assembled most of the bike just to check the geometry in comparison to a 2019 Salsa that I'm riding. For me, the geometry is really important to get as close as I can, but it is a tall order to be asking a 25-year-old bike to ride like a 2019 bike. So, expectations managed, let's build this up and see how we do. For all my purist friends out there that love to chase threads and face head tubes, just so you know, this had already been done. It was beautifully machined and it was ready to go, so no need for me to do any of that here. In 1999, this frame came with a 70mm fork. And as I was doing some research, realized I could do just a little bit more travel without affecting the steer tube angle too much. In this case, about 1 degree of difference. For the suspension fork, I found a great deal on this Fox 100RL fork, probably from around 2002, maybe 2004. The steer tube length in this was around 8 inches, which was perfect. I didn't need to cut this down at all. I was able to slide this into the head tube and see I had enough purchase for the stem. But like any fork from its time, the seals need to be replaced as well as the oil. I'll be doing that next month. For now, this is just building it up and getting it ready to ride. The wheels I'm putting on this bike originally came from a 2002 Specialized stump jumper. Essentially, it's a 9mm oversized axle on the front, but these are still basically 26-inch quick release wheels with some Mavic 221 rims. These you can find on eBay still. If the bearing needs to be replaced, they're very common, and the rear hub is often a unbranded Shimano Dior or XT rear hub. These work perfect for a 1x10 or 1x11 conversion, where all you really need is a 9-speed free hub. Essentially, this allows you to put a little bit deeper cassette over the 135mm axle spacing. If you have an older 7 or 8-speed free hub, you will not be able to do this type of conversion without changing out the free hub. Today's video is partially sponsored by a company called COOSPO. They were kind enough to send me a portable battery-powered air pump. I've reviewed similar ones like this probably a couple years ago on the channel, but this one's only about half the size, super lightweight. I actually brought this with me on my last bikepacking trip. It worked great. I was able to inflate 4 tires from dead flat up to 40 psi on a single charge, and from now on this is going to be my go-to portable pump, as well as emergency fix on the trails. For anyone that's new to doing Restomods, the biggest question people have about doing a 1x system is what keeps the chain on the bike. If you were to take an older 8-speed or 9-speed drivetrain and just reduce it down to 1 chainring in the front, bouncing over just a few bumps in the road would knock the chain completely off the bike. So what happens is you have a clutch on the back of the derailleur, as well as a different style of chain ring. Between the tension of the derailleur and the oversized chain rings on the front, this is what holds it on the bike and makes it work so much better. One of the big advancements in shifting over the last few years has been the change to super slick cables, which are essentially skinnier, around 1.1 or 1.2 millimeters in diameter. They come coated or uncoated, and obviously stainless steel. But the nice thing about this is, besides using the right type of housing with this, you're able to get through a lot of bends and tight turns much easier than before. The previous owner of this Klein was kind enough to leave some cable hanging out both ends of the internal routing. This allowed me to tape the new cable to the old and gently pull it through the housing, since it was missing the internal straw that normally acts for that function. Whether or not you use the new super slick cables, what I would definitely recommend is this inexpensive cable lube from Rock and Roll. It's called Cable Magic, and it works great. 1 bottle should last you a lifetime. Just 1 or 2 drops is enough to get through any tight bend in your cable and housing, and you'll find yourself with buttery smooth shifting. Probably the biggest change we're doing to this bike is the addition of a dropper seat post. The original bike was designed to have disc brakes front and rear. Here you can see these cable guides that were actually bonded to the frame. A lot of you might be asking, why not run disc brakes again? Well, the rear tab in the back was designed for a 160mm Hayes specific disc brake. For now, this is great placement to run an external line. P&W that makes this dropper seat post has a specific model called the Cascade, which is designed for external routing. It's 27.2, and I believe it comes in one other size. But for a lot of 90s mountain bikes, this makes for a great conversion. You just have to have at least 200mm of seat mast sticking out for this to work. Alright, now that the bike is all built up, I'll do a quick test ride, and then it's time to stare at the bike. Thanks everyone for sticking around and checking out this bike build. I hope you enjoy, and look forward to some more videos coming out in the future.